Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Today we'll be discussing how to write the report for project 2 in the capstone project. Okay, as we said earlier in the project 1 video, you should abide by the template. As you can see, you should write the title here, your names and supervisor name and department and the semester and year, of course. The same thing here, you should write your names here and supervisor name and you sign it. Of course, here you should write the acknowledgement if you have anyone that you would like to acknowledge for this work. Now the abstract you should have written in report 1. You can extend it, of course. Here, as we said earlier, the abstract is the summary of the whole report. So it should be like a bit more involved this time compared to project 1 report. If we go to the introduction shouldn't change much compared to project 1, but I think when you go through the design process, maybe you have changed the requirement, change the constraints, so of course you have to update the introduction chapter regarding this issue. Okay. Of course, here you should mention the task allocation between your teammates, right? After you have done the project, of course, this part you should have done in project 1. Maybe you have changed the allocation, you have maybe exceeded the time frame that you have put, or maybe you finished before the allocated time, fortunately, so you should state any updates here as well. Again, the literature review or the background, you should have done it in report 1. Maybe you want to add more references, maybe you've found out or you stumbled upon different references, you should update them if you wish. Now here we go back, or we go to the design chapter, which is the most important chapter I say, in the report here. So see, this is the design, not the design proposal, because you have proposed the design and now you have implemented the design, hopefully. And so you should talk about the requirements as we had discussed earlier. Maybe you have changed the requirements, you have changed the design constraints. Again, you need to update them. Maybe you found out new design approaches, you updated your design approach, right? Again, you describe your design in a high-level block diagram, but now you have to talk in details about design. So let's say that you, returning back to our famous example, the weather station, you have programmed the microcontroller. So you should include a flowchart of your logic, your programming logic, a schematic for how to connect the sensors with the microcontroller and with the, let's say, transceiver, and on the other side, the base station side, how to connect the transceiver with the, let's say, PC or web server, whatever. Again, include the pseudocode for your code, system level diagrams, etc. So here in this chapter you should discuss your design in details. Everything that you have done, you should document it in form of code or in form of flowcharts, schematics, block diagrams, anything. Okay. Now, after you have implemented your design, you should have collected some results, right? So in the case of the weather station example, now you should have tried out your prototype for, let's say, a week or two, collected the measurements. In most cases, I think you should have faced a few problems and solved it, right? So now you should discuss those problems in the design chapter as well. So okay, we have designed like this. Let's say that you have chosen a sampling rate of 1 minute. Okay, then you discover that 1 minute is too small, so you gather too much data, and then let's say the microcontroller cannot handle this much data, or the, let's say, wireless link is too slow, or the database is too small. You need to pay more, but you are constrained with the budget, so you cannot buy a big database or a web server or whatever, right? So you should discuss the problems that you have faced in the design section. Now when you gather your result, okay, you should put them, document them. So the first thing is that the prototype setup. So you should discuss the hardware and the software. Okay. The most important thing is not mentioning the components that you have bought. You can put them in an appendix at the end, right? But how did you connect them? How did you connect them? You can list them, okay, but don't talk in details about them. Leave the details to the appendices, okay? How did you perform your experiment? So did you take, let's say, a result every or a measurement every 1 hour, every 2 hours, okay? How did you display the results? So you should put all those documented results in form of tables, graphs, waveforms, figure, etc. And you should describe them and document them and talk about them. Okay, analyze them. Now, an important part is have you validated? Did you stick to the design requirements? Did you stick to the constraints, or did you violate them? Or did you violate the constraints for some reason? Did you have to change the constraints because you tried it out and they did not work out? Okay, you should discuss everything that you have faced in your project. Okay. Finally, you should conclude your report in the concluding chapter, right? So what did you learn? What did you face? How did you solve your problems? And you should, if you like, to propose some future improvements on your setup, on your project, on your prototype. Returning back to the weather station example, let's say that you have decided that, okay, you have successfully implemented the weather station, a single node, now you want to expand it to, let's say, 5 nodes, 10 nodes. How would you do that? What do you expect? Now you have a network of sensor nodes, right? Or maybe you have faced some problems. You have to change them, to change the design, I mean. Or maybe now you want to extend the range of the weather station. Maybe you used Wi-Fi. You can propose to use a LoRa system for your communication, and so forth. And that's it. So it's basically you should emphasize on the design and on the results. Discuss them in a in a satisfactory manner. Okay. Thank you.